Katie. We have The Message in the Hollow Oak. We are on Chapter 9, Escaping Thief. Nancy studied the note on the bureau intently. Was it true that someone had found the message in the hollow oak which told of a treasure? The young detective took a long breath. Maybe it's only a joke, she said to herself. Perhaps one of the girls, or even one of the boys, left this note to play a trick on me. Nancy took out her magnifying glass and examined the paper for fingerprints. There were none on it. She was still puzzled as she laid the note down and began to change her clothes. As soon as she was dressed for the dig, Nancy went to the excavation and climbed down. The busy workers looked up and said, "Hi!" Julie Ann asked if she had had any luck reaching Ned. "Yes," Nancy replied. "I'll tell you about it later." She changed the subject and asked, "Which of you left the note on the bureau?" "Note?" Julie Ann repeated. "There wasn't any note when I was in the room." Not only Nancy's roommates, but all the other girls said they knew nothing about the message that had been left for Nancy. "How about you boys?" Nancy called out. They in turn denied having written it. Art asked, "What did it say?" Nancy told him and the others. Teresa looked disturbed. "This is serious. I beg of you, if anyone here did it as a joke, please own up so none of us will be worried." The whole group reiterated that they knew nothing about the strange message. "Oh, Nancy," Julie Ann burst out, "it must have been that awful man or some pal of his." Teresa Bancroft said that she did not like the thought of anyone sneaking around the dig. "Whoever this person is, he's very brazen to come here in the daylight. I want all of you to be very careful." Nancy's roommates were alarmed over the situation. They were sure she had not heard the last of her enemy. Julie Ann, after thinking this over, said, "I don't believe that what's in the note. If the person had really found the message and was on the track of the treasure, he wouldn't bother to tell you. I think he left the note to frighten you away. If you don't leave, he may harm you." Nancy turned to Teresa. "There's good logic in what Julie Ann says. I think I should go to Cairo and stay there until my friends arrive. Did Art tell you they're coming?" "He didn't say a word," Julie Ann replied. Art lowered his eyes. Was it possible he did not like the idea? Quickly, Nancy explained about the 5 friends who would join her on the river trip. "That's fine," said Teresa. "And bring them back with you after the trip. We've plenty of room. As for leaving here today, I insist that you stay until it's time to go meet your friends." The archaeologist requested that everyone get back to work. Nancy picked up her shovel. The boys had unearthed the fine skeleton of a man and carried it to the laboratory. Here they planned to wire it together so it could be hung up and exhibited. When the others finished work, they all trooped to the barn to see it. The skeleton was suspended from a rod which the boys had put up. Teresa was very much pleased and said it was one of the finest specimens ever to be uncovered. "Any museum would be delighted to have this," she remarked. "But I'm glad it will be on exhibit at Paulson University." After dinner, Nancy invited Julie Ann to go on the towboat trip. "Oh, how exciting!" she exclaimed. "Suppose I ask Teresa right away." She hurried off. On the way to find the leader, Julie Ann met Art, who was about to make the same request. Both promised Teresa they would work doubly hard as soon as they returned to the dig. "All right, go ahead," Teresa said. "Neither of you has been in this area before, and it will be a nice side trip for you." As usual, the evening was gay with singing, and for the time being everyone forgot about Nancy's mysterious note. Finally, all the boys went home except Bob Snell, who remained on guard. The girls fell asleep quickly, but at once Nancy began having worrisome dreams. She could see pirates attacking towboats and barges. She spotted sneaking figures in the moonlight, and finally, when someone tried to grab Pierre Francois's treasure from her, she woke up. "Oh," she said softly, "what a nightmare!" Everything around her was peaceful, but Nancy could not get back to sleep. Finally, she arose, pulled on slacks and a shirt, and went outdoors. She did not see Bob Snell and wondered where he was. Restless, she walked past the dig site and around the house to the farmyard. The night was dark, with few stars, but her eyes soon became accustomed to this. She could make out the shape of the old barn. Beyond it lay the wide, empty field and the woods. Far in the distance, a dog barked, and another answered. Nancy wondered where Bob was. Perhaps behind the barn lab? She considered turning on her flashlight, but instinct told her not to. "What's the matter with you?" she asked herself sternly. "You're actually nervous." The next moment, she heard a low creaking noise. Someone was slowly opening the barn door. Instantly, she knew it was not Bob. He would not be so cautious about it. Before Nancy could investigate, a strange, ghost-like shape appeared from the ramshackle building. Nancy's heart began to pound as she saw what it was. A skeleton was walking toward her. Nancy blinked several times. Then her good sense returned, and she knew someone was carrying the skeleton in front of him. He must be a thief! Walking on tiptoe, but quickly, Nancy came up to the skeleton. Someone was indeed carrying it. "Put that down," she ordered, reaching out to grab the bony figure. There was a startled grunt from behind the skeleton, and the next moment a man thrust it at her, brushed past, and ran fast toward the road. "Bob! Bob!" Nancy shouted, but got no reply. She did not dare pursue the fugitive. It was too dangerous, and besides, she had retrieved the valuable fossil and must hold on to it. "I'd better put this back in the lab." As she was about to walk to the barn, 2 flashlights appeared from the farmhouse. Julie Ann was holding one, Teresa the other. Seeing the skeleton, Julie Ann gave a loud squeal. Then, spotting Nancy, she exclaimed, "What on earth?" Quickly, Nancy explained, and Teresa said, "I'm glad you didn't run after that man. Where's Bob?" "I don't know," Nancy answered. "I called him, but he didn't answer." Julie Ann asked worriedly, "Do you think that the thief may have knocked him out?" "Oh, I hope not," Teresa said. "We'll put the skeleton back in the lab and then hunt for Bob." He was not in the big workroom, nor anywhere else in the barn. The 3 searchers walked around the exterior of the farmhouse, but did not find him. "He may have become ill and gone to the boys' house," said Teresa. "We'd better go over there and inquire." She and Julie Ann hastened to their bedroom and slipped into some clothes. Then the 3 headed across the field to the boys' quarters. Nancy knocked on the door, and moments later Art answered, pulling on his robe. Seeing the girls, he was alarmed. "What's the matter?" Nancy told him what had happened. "I'll check and see if Bob's here," said Art. In a few moments he came back to the door. "Not here," he reported grimly. "We'd better search." "Yes," Teresa said anxiously. "He may have met with foul play. So someone might have done something bad to him. In this case, probably knocked him out." In 20 minutes, the field and woods were alive with flashlights as all the boys joined in the search for the missing youth. At dawn, they still had not found any sign of Bob. Everyone returned to the girls' farmhouse for a quick breakfast. Then they started out on another search, this time by bright daylight. Art wrinkled his brow. "It's odd. Bob would never go off without telling someone." By this time, all the searchers were sure that something had happened to him. "He may have been attacked and carried off into the woods," Art suggested to Nancy and Julie Ann. "Let's look there." The girls followed him onto an overgrown path among the trees. The 3 became silent as they looked intently for clues. A few minutes later, Art cried out, "Here's something!"